Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories in the week. I'm Teniola Shoboale. The headlines. Students resume for second-term academic activities across Nigeria as second wave of COVID-19 persists. Federal Capital Territory experiences low turnout of students. Looming strike in universities as non-teaching staff declare indefinite strike from February the 5th. Former President Goodluck Jonathan says Nigeria must address issues of nepotism, religious and ethnic bias for restructuring to work. And in the United States, Joe Biden takes office as the 46th president in low-key ceremony. News Round begins with the resumption of students for the second term of the 2020-2021 school year in Lagos and some other states in the south, with strict compliance to the COVID-19 guidelines. And in Abuja, the nation's capital, the story is the same, except for a dip in student population, as it appears some parents were not comfortable with the resumption plans. Our next report chronicles the situation.
Students in the nation's capital are back in school after an extended Christmas break following the reports of the second wave of COVID-19. Upon resumption, the students are subjected to health checks in line with COVID-19 protocols. They also participate in the cleanup of the school premises.
You can see them coming in with their face masks. They wash hands before going in. And they were observing the social distance, no assembly, all the protocol listed by COVID-19, this school is observing it.
Chairs and tables have been rearranged to accommodate the guidelines, while the teachers have the mandate to enforce compliance.
Teachers, if you are going and see any child, if you enter the class, any child without wearing children are children, anywhere they behave their. So, first of all, any child you see without face mask, you will be what? Will be called out of the class. Then, at the same time, those that would have their own inside the pocket, they are children. So they can put their own inside the pocket, they will do what? Corrected to wear their own. Then some hang their own by the mouth without covering the nose. You direct them what to do. Then those who didn't come to the school with their own, we made some available at the gate.
In Lagos, students of primary and secondary schools resume for the second term. They are welcome with COVID-19 protocols to ensure their safety and others around them. They've been taught a song to remind them of the new normal.
Wash your hands with soap and water. Sanitize your hands every time. Practice social distancing and the use of facial masks. No hugging, no embracing. Sing me with your elbow cup.
All the teachers are on ground, ensuring that no clubbing together, social distancing anywhere, either outside or inside the classroom. That's why we have 30 in the class. No hugging. We have told them the implication of COVID-19. It's not that they hate them, but just to avoid unnecessary illnesses.
The Commissioner for Education, Folashade Adefisayo, takes a tour of some of the schools to ensure that the laid-down guidelines are followed.
We are not going to leave the schools alone. We are going to keep coming around. We are going to keep holding meetings. We are going to keep talking to them. We are going to keep encouraging them. I talk a lot to them because I know this thing, they find it uncomfortable. It is. You're uncomfortable, I'm uncomfortable. But like I keep asking, is it better to be uncomfortable and alive?
In neighboring Ogun State, students are subjected to strict screening and hand hygiene.
Then we go to our classes. We have arranged the class in such a way that we provide adequate spacing amongst them. And all in all, our teachers are ready on ground. And you can see that about 80-85% of our students are already in the school.
The shoes together and
Ekiti State, some of the primary and secondary schools in Ado Ekiti, the state capital, are not so populated on the first day, and not all students fully comply with the wearing of face masks or other protocols. But the school management insists that they are committed to ensuring compliance with all safety measures.
The children, they were being confused. The announcement that was being made before, they are saying either we not resume again today. Any child that come today without face masks, we ask them to go back and bring their face masks.
The picture is somewhat different in Ebonyi State. Students of Urban Secondary School in the state capital, Abakaliki, are happy to return to school as they are seen heading to classes in groups, most of them without face masks.
Not all of them came with face masks. And the government, they were announcing this. We thought that parents are supposed to give their children, equip them. But now we have announced, and we are going to announce by tomorrow, nobody will come here without face mask.
There have been controversies over the preparedness of schools because of the new wave of the pandemic. But the federal government maintains its position that schools must reopen, but with strict compliance to COVID-19 preventive guidelines. The Federal Ministry of Education has also said that no COVID-19 test is required for returning students before being admitted into their schools.
Now, the National Youth Service NYSC orientation camps reopened nationwide as the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic persists, and authorities insist on the safety measures to allow corpers into the camps. This next report shows the situation at the Lagos orientation camp.
The National Youth Service Corps NYSC has reopened camp for the 2020 Batch B Stream 2 Corps members amid concerns of the second wave of COVID-19. We are here to observe the safety protocols in place for prospective Corps members who will be spending weeks at this orientation camp. Non-pharmaceutical protocols first, but that cannot be enough. No one goes into the camp without taking the COVID-19 test. We take the slightly discomforting but necessary step. Given a clean bill, we proceed to film. There are restrictions on showing the Corps members on camera, but we caught up with the process of disinfecting their luggage as they wait to get tested.
Apart from the testing that's done initially, like I said, we have the IPC guys around, and so we are constantly checking, and we ask randomly in case, because it's possible that people can develop symptoms as well while on camp. So we have people on ground to make sure that we are constantly liaising with everybody on camp to make sure that there is a community responsibility.
Less than 30% of the usual capacity is mobilized to camp. They've also been scheduled in streams for ease of compliance with the COVID-19 protocol. The buzz and energy that usually radiates at the orientation camp appears to be missing. At the registration point, officials have few files to attend to. The processes have been segmented.
We wouldn't want to have an upsurge at the registration point, even right at the gate. And so they have sectioned them. Maximum we have reporting in a day here is just 200, or even less than that. And you know, all of them will not come at the same time. And this is to give room for us to have enough space to attend to them individually so that there will not be any congestion.
The NYSC management believes it has tidied all loose ends with various COVID-19 interventions, and there is no cause for alarm as Corps members report to different orientation camps across the country. Dari Ido, Channels Television News.
To other stories now. The non-teaching staff of universities are declaring an indefinite strike beginning from February the 5th. This is coming just a few weeks after the Academic Staff Union of Universities suspended an 8-month-old industrial action. At a meeting in Abuja, the spokesperson of the Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities said the federal government had reneged on the October 20 2020 agreement between both parties.
The October 2020 Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, resolved that the complaints of NASU and SANU with respect to IPs would be corrected within 2 weeks. But 3 months after, there has been no correction of these anomalies, leading to a high level of restiveness among our members who have been shortchanged on account of the problems caused by IPs. Of the Joint Action Committee of NASU and SANU hereby resolves as follows. 1. That members of NASU and SANU shall embark on an indefinite, comprehensive, and total strike with effect from midnight of Friday, 8 February 2021. 5th February 2021. 2. That 2 weeks notice effective from today, Friday, 22nd January 2021, is hereby given to government and relevant stakeholders of this development.
This week, the issue of restructuring the nation also took center stage at an event in the nation's capital that attracted many dignitaries. Present at the occasion was former President Goodluck Jonathan, who hinted that before any restructuring plans will work, the issues of nepotism and religious bias must first be dealt with.
Depending on who you talk to, restructuring means different things to different people. For some, it's devolving power from the center to other federating units, while for others, it means resource control, revised revenue sharing formula, and so on. Regardless of the many definitions and intentions, the consensus at this dialogue in Abuja is that restructuring is one of the solutions to Nigeria's socio-economic and political challenges.
We must restructure because our current electoral system is dysfunctional. I watched with complete and utter disappointment social media films of underage children voting in the last local government elections in Kano last week. No reasonable government will tolerate this kind of brigandage. If we had stronger regional government, it would perhaps manage the situation better.
What form should the restructuring take, and the time frame seems to be areas which guests at this event and even proponents of restructuring have not been able to agree on.
To restructure, Nigeria needs a constitutional conference of all ethnic groups in Nigeria. To use the current National Assembly as a forum for constitutional amendment grants a tacit recognition of the overthrow of our democratic norms by the enthronement of a military constitution by which they are composed. The outcome of the constitutional conference must be subjected to a public plebiscite in which all adult Nigerians have rights to vote.
The best way to do it is to look at the legislative lists and deconcentrate power from the federal government, which has been concentrated under military rule, devolve them back to the states and give commensurate resources to the states.
But former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan warns that restructuring will not solve all the country's problems, a view which a former Minister of Agriculture shares.
Restructuring alone may not solve all the anomalies in our system. I believe that restructuring for a better nation is good, but there are other fundamental issues we should also address. We cannot restructure in isolation without tackling the challenges that polarize our nation. These include nepotism, ethnic and religious differences, as well as lack of patriotism.
Even if we restructure without dealing with fundamental problems of political management at the
During
state
the
level,
campaigns, the ruling All Progressives Congress pledged to introduce constitutional changes. During the campaigns, the ruling All Progressives Congress pledged to introduce constitutional changes to establish true federalism and set up a committee headed by the Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai on restructuring. Not much has been heard about the report on restructuring, prompting questions about the disposition of the ruling party to indeed make good its pledge. Linda Kibe, Channels Television News.
When News Round returns in just a moment, residents in Abuja lament hardship faced at Kubwa NIN Registration Center. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us on News Round. And now to the National Identity Number registration. This time, the Kubwa Center in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, witnessed a protest as prospective enrollees, including people with disabilities, lamented the untold hardship they have had to endure over the past weeks.
This is not a political rally, but a protest by prospective enrollees of the National Identity Number in Kubwa, a satellite town in the nation's capital. Men, women, students, and even the physically challenged besieged the center in anger. Their reason is the non-availability of officials deployed for the registration exercise. An official of NIPOST, where the registration center is located, narrates how the protest started.
They started writing names, and all of a sudden, the NIMSI people could not control the crowd again. They have to disappear. They ran away from the office, leaving NIPOST staff inside the office. But once they see that the gate was locked, they were now flying the fence.
When the crowd came in here, they tried to disperse the crowd. The military man came in and started beating the people. From there, up to today, no single person among here had been caught. No single person from this crowd had been registered.
Many of the enrollees are not wearing face masks, and obviously, no physical distancing is being observed. The enraged crowd accuses the officials of extortion.
They always collect bribe. They beat, they slapped an old woman today. Government people are not trying.
The physically challenged are not left out. Their story is the same.
1 week we come here now, and we're not allowed to enter here. See, we are disability. How go follow these people to enter here? No way.
This center, however, is calm and peaceful. While this enrollee says his SIM has not been blocked after the expiration of the January 19th deadline for those with NIN, he also tells a story of extortion.
They asked me I should give them money. I don't have money to give them. They say if I didn't give them money, they will not do it for me. I don't have money to give anybody. And they had my money in my account on December. They said I should go and bring my NIN number. And quit if I didn't bring it, they won't give me money. And right now, I don't have money in my pocket.
The National Identity Management has consistently said no enrollee should pay for registration. With about 3 weeks to the last deadline for registration, many expect that the Commission would look into these loopholes that have trailed the registration process.
News Round winds down in the United States as Joe Biden takes office as the 46th president in a low-key event owing to both the coronavirus pandemic and security concerns following the recent Capitol Hill chaos.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the oath of office, followed by musical honors.
Traditionally, this is what a U.S. presidential inauguration looks like. But it's a little different this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic and threats of violence from pro-Trump supporters.
Gracious and merciful God, at this sacred time we come before you in need, indeed on our knees.
The office of President of the United States.
Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th President of the United States on Wednesday during a ceremony held at the heavily protected U.S. Capitol, ending the tumultuous 4-year presidency of his Republican predecessor, Donald Trump.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
In his speech, the new U.S. president says his inauguration is a celebration of democracy and that the will of the people has been heard.
This is America's day. This is democracy's day. A day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew. and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people has been heard, and the will of the people has been heeded. We've learned again that democracy is precious, democracy is fragile, and at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed.
He also called for peace, tolerance and reconciliation, even as he vows to be a president to all Americans.
Today, at this time, in this place, let's start afresh, all of us. Let's begin to listen to one another again, hear one another, see one another, show respect to one another. Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war.
Then a moment of silence for all the American citizens that have lost their lives to the COVID-19 pandemic, and a promise that this too shall pass.
This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge, and unity is the path forward. And we must meet this moment as the United States of America. If we do that, I guarantee you we will not fail. We have never, ever, ever, ever failed in America.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Earlier, Vice President Kamala Harris was also sworn into office, becoming the first woman, the first black person, and the first Asian American to hold the office.
So help me God.
In attendance at the ceremony were 3 former presidents, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush, who were all accompanied by their wives. Also, immediate U.S. Vice President Mike Pence witnessed the inauguration. All living former presidents gathered to witness the peaceful transfer of power, but former President Donald Trump made the decision not to take part in this tradition.
And that's News Round this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tenyola Shoboale. Have a lovely weekend.